His spine snapped first, no cracks, snaps, vertebrae splinter and refuse. His chest plate buckles outward as the rib cage underneath expands, the ceramite groaning against the flesh that no longer fits inside it. His brothers watch. They've seen this before. They know what comes next. Inches of lengthen, the jaw dislocates. What was a space marine 10 seconds ago is now something else. Something hunched, panting, dripping saliva into the deck of the thick yellow robes. And the worst part, this is not chaos. This is not the world. This is the Emperor's own design. A genetic time bomb buried inside every single son of Leman Russ. You know them as the Emperor's executioners, the Wulfen of Fenris, the most fiercely loyal chapter in the Imperium. But nobody asks what the loyalty cost them. Nobody asks what the Space Wolves are hiding in the deepest cell beneath the Fang, or why they hunt their own brothers through the frozen wilds. This is the curse of the Wulfen. The Wulfen are not myths, they are no warp-spawn abomination. They are space wolves, active duty Astartes whose bodies have regressed into something feral. 8 feet of muscle, claw and fur, wrapped in the remnants of power armor that outgrew mid-transformation. Their senses are heightened to predator extremes. They can smell fear, they can hear heartbeat from across the battlefield, and once the bloodlust takes hold, they do not stop until everything in front of them is meat. The Imperium burns mutants on sight. He has purged entire worlds for less than when a single Wulfen represents. Yet the Space Wolves do not destroy the afflicted brothers, at least not all of them. They cage them, they weaponize them, they deploy them as the shock troops and then lock them away before anyone notices. This is the dirty secret of the bulk of Fenrica. The chapter that hunts other legions for corruption is hiding something that will get any chapter declared excommunicate traitors. To understand the Wulfen, you have to understand the Canis Helix, the genetic cornerstone of the heavy space wolf. It's what makes them faster, stronger, and more perceptive than any other Astartes. It is also what dooms them. The process starts with the cup of the Wulfen. Every aspirant drinks from it. The first dose of the helix hits their system and their body revolts. Bone splits and reheat. Muscle mass triples in hours. Hair sprouts across their skin as their nervous system revives itself to the hunt. They are thrown into the Fenrisian wilderness, alone, sometimes naked, and told them to make them back to the Fang. This is the test of Mordecai. Most die from exposure, many fail because the helix wins. Their mind collapses into pure predatory instinct. They became feral, permanent Wulfen, condemned to stalk the ice forever, hunting the next batch of aspirants. And the one who makes it back, they receive the rest of the gene seed, the stabilizing components that quiet the beast. But the quiet is not gone. Here's the part nobody talks about. Every space wolf who has ever lived carries the Wulfen inside them. The curse is not something that happens to a space wolf. It is what a space wolf is. Held in check by discipline, by the watch packs, by the wolf priests who monitor their brothers in a battle and whisk them back to the edge. But discipline breaks. It always breaks eventually. You are not safe from it. The curse does not care about your rank, your deeds, or your oaths. A wolf lord with 3 centuries of service can fall just as fast as a blood claw on his first deployment. The beast does not negotiate. The first Wulfen didn't appear in the 31st millennium. They appeared 10,000 years ago, among Leman Russ's own inner circle. The 13th Great Company was formed from Russ's original warriors, the men who followed him on Fenris before the Emperor ever arrived. They were too old for the transformation, and the Mechanicum warned them against it. They did it anyway. Most died on the operational table. The surviving became something unprecedented. Space Marines who carried the Canis Helix in bodies already scarred by decades of mortal life. They called themselves the Wolf Brothers. The other companies called them Greybeards. And they were the first to fall. During the Dulan campaign, 2 warriors of the 13th succumbed in quick succession. No warning, no chaos stain detected by the Ruin Priest. Just the beast emerging mid-battle, claiming brothers who had stood beside Leman Russ himself. Bloodhowl, the Jarl of the 13, made a decision that would echo through 10 millennia. He kept his secret. He told no one, not even the Primarch. The 13 vanished shortly after Prospero, not destroyed, but lost. They pursued fleeing thousand suns through the network of war portals, and the trail went cold. Their sigil in the Grand Anrus was replaced by a black slab of obsidian. Speaking of the 13, became forbidden. For 10,000 years, nobody knew what happened to them. And then they came back. Warzone Fenris, the high world of Nurades. Herald Deathwolf and his company are surrounded by the demon horde. Flames raining warp fire from above. The nose tightening. They are going to die, and then shadows move from the rooftops. Massive figures drop into the demon's ranks, clawed limbs swinging. Bestial howls split in the air. They tear through the creatures of chaos like they were made of paper. When the fighting stops, Deathwolf gets his first clear look at their rescuers. 8-foot beast in rugged power armor, faces lupine, amber eyes glinting with something that is not quite animal. And on their pauldron, beneath 10,000 years of scratches and battle damage, the heraldry of the 13th Great Company. Their leader kneels before that wolf and speaks. His voice is loud, snarling, barely human. We are brothers, we are Wulfen. The return of the 13 should have been a miracle. Instead, it became a nightmare. Because the Wulfen brought something back with them. Not Chaos Stain, but something arguably worse. The curse had become contagious. Proximity to the Wulfen triggered transformation in Space Marines who were never shown a single symptom. On the battle barge called Fang, entire packs of Grey Hunters devolved into beasts just from sharing decks with their returned kin. Even the Primaris, the perfected Space Marines, are not immune. The Helix claimed them as eagerly. Ulrich the Slayer called it an omen of Rust's return. Other Wolf Lords pointed out that if Ulrich was right, this was the Wolf time, the end of all things. The cover-up is not passive. The Space Wolves are trying to suppress this as much as possible from 10 millennia. Every great company maintains a wolf pack, wolf priests selected specifically for their resistance to the curse. Their job is not spiritual guidance, it is a surveillance. They monitor their brothers for the first signs, like anything, starting from the canines, increased aggression, the low growl that starts slipping to their battle. When Space Wolves begins to turn, the wolf priest does not report him, he removes him, quietly. Some are sent to the lower walls of the Fang, where they live out of centuries in reinforced cells beside brothers they once fought alongside. Others are deployed on an unsanctioned mission so brutal that survival is not objective. The chapter records list them as killed in action. The Inquisitor's ledger says nothing. This is not paranoia. The wolves have good reason to hide what they are. In the aftermath of the First War of Armageddon, the conflict against Angro's demon legions, the Inquisition ordered the sterilization or imprisonment of every Imperial guardsman, every civilian, every soul who had laid eyes on a demon. Hundreds of thousands. The Space Wolves refused. They evacuated survivors behind the Inquisitor's back. When Lord Inquisitor Gesmek Isnarus escalated to fleet action, Logan Grimnar, the Great Wolf himself, teleported directly to Isnarus' flagship, a Grey Knight's battle barge, and severed the Lord Inquisitor's head from his shoulder with a single swing while the axe smoked high. The months of shame nearly destroyed the chapter. The Wulfen fought the Inquisition and the Grey Knights to a stalemate. Only the intervention of Beyond the Fellender, the last living being who ever walked besides Leman Russ, stopped the war. But the Inquisition has never forgiven them, and they have been watching them ever since. So when the Wulfen returned in the 31st millennium, the cover-up went gone. The Dark Angels captured several Wulfen in stasis field and demanded to know what they were dealing with, and the Space Wolves refused to explain. And when a Slaneshi demon horde overran the position and the stasis field failed, the wolf grabbed the Wulfen and fled, abandoning their fellow Astartes to die beneath Demon's claw. And they choose the secrets over their honor. They choose Wulfen over the brother Marines. And here's the question that should terrify you. If the Space Wolf had already gone to war with the Inquisition once, over the lives of a mortal guardsman they own nothing, what happens when the Inquisition discovers what the wolves have been hiding inside their own gene seed? What happens when the chapter that judges everyone helps corruption is revealed as the most compromised of all? The Imperium cannot afford a second month of shame, and the Wulfen are multiplying faster than the Wolf Priest can cage them. The Wolf Priest said the Wulfen heralds Rust's return. The Wolf Lord said that means the end of times, but both of them are asking the wrong question. The real question is this: when Inquisition finally finds out, and they will, does Rust have a chapter left to return to? So let me know in the comments if you believe the Wulfen are the Wolf's greatest weapon, and let me know if the Space Wolves should have been honest 10,000 years ago. As always, thank you for watching, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.